Alright folks, hello and welcome to another Minecraft video. This is me playing the 404 challenge. I've done a bit of renovations, expanded the base a tiny bit. I will turn down the render distance just a tiny bit because I feel like... Alright, I set the brightness up a tiny bit. Render distance normal. I'll set it to short just for the sake of recording. I could have done that off camera, but who cares? Alright, so this is my first 404 video in 1.8. And I'm excited. Now I have done a bit of walking around, of course. You can see my hunger bar is a bit deplenished. I've played around with the wheat I have. In fact, I'm going to eat some of this. Nom 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 nom. There you go, perfect. It's weird how you have to hold it down. No, that's unusual. I would have rather, like, you can walk around with it, but you don't have to hold it down. It just does it automatically. Whatever, no big deal. Now I kind of want to talk about something that's important to me. I don't know how much this will be a gameplay video. Oh, Jesus. And... oh, God. You monstrosities. Oh, cool, regenerating health. No biggie. Alright, basically what I wanted to talk about is something that's somewhat important to me as an American, as a person who cares about history, I guess. And that's 9/11. You may or may not have heard about this big thing that happened a while ago, called the 10th anniversary of September 11, the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center. And I kind of want to talk about something that came to my attention recently. In particular, I guess respect would be the best way to say it, because I've been sort of like looking around on a forum, and it's come to my attention that there's sort of like an interesting, not an interesting view of respect. I don't even know how to... Whoa! Alright, duplicate bug, which doesn't seem to do anything. This is weird. Everything seems to be interrupting my commentary. That's not cool. Not cool, man. Alright, so... do I have... Jesus. Alright, so... I wanted to talk about 9/11 and respect. Now, I was sort of there was a forum I frequent, and there was this forum post on it, a thread about 9/11 in memory, and there were, as I saw it, like two different forms of disrespect, and that's sort of an interesting way to put it. But I mean, I guess that's how I had to put it. And there was one that there's like blatant disrespect, where it's like, well, I don't care about these people because the United States has done similarly terrible things to other countries. And then there was something that I guess I could call unaware disrespect. Is that new music? No. It just seemed a bit different. It's actually perfectly fitting. But basically, when you're like unaware of the disrespect, it's sort of, I guess, you just don't know what you're talking about, basically, to put it bluntly. For example, I was talking to a person... Ah, Jesus. Second time. Skeletons have gotten worse. Or better. And basically, the way I see it is, when you don't know what you're talking about, that's like the worst form of disrespect. No. And I saw that quite a bit, where people were talking about, well, they attacked us because of our freedom, because we are awesome, and because we have democracy. And that's, well, that's kind of true. It's not entirely false. And actually, let me deal with the other kind of disrespect first, because that one's just a whole lot worse. None of the people implicated in the attacks deserved to die. That's a terrible way to put it. Because nobody deserved that at all. My mom had a friend who was in the towers when they crashed. When the planes crashed. People who just simply didn't deserve to be there were there. Were, I guess, unfortunately part of the moment. They didn't deserve to be killed on that day. That's just a terrible thing to say. And sort of like the unaware disrespect is when you don't know what you're talking about. And as I was saying, it's when someone's like, freedom, America, that's what this is about. They hate us because we are free, and not entirely true. There's much more to it, and I feel like to truly show respect for these people, it's much more so than just simply talking about it and having a ceremony about it, and it's much more so understanding what happened in history and how you can make sure it doesn't happen again. Basically, I mean, it's the ability to look back and see, well, my country may not be entirely innocent in this case. And I don't mean by that the people who were killed. I mean the actions of the government and so forth, so on and so forth. That maybe my government was somewhat involved. Well, not involved. I'm not. This is harder to phrase than I thought. Not involved, but did something in its past that may have involved us, that may have led to the deaths of many people. Respect, in my opinion, is the ability to scrutinize what your country has done, to look back and say, well, this was done wrong, and this is something as a country we'll have to fix. We can't allow this to happen again. And as a citizen of this country, you have to be able to look at your country and you have to say, with the benefit of the knowledge of history, I should know that I don't want this to happen again, and as such, I'm not going to let it happen again. I'm going to keep an active eye on what's going on in my country, and I'm going to say, I've seen this happen before. This is a mistake. We shouldn't be doing this. And to be able to actively voice that loud enough so that something like this doesn't happen again, because I imagine if you asked the people involved, or not the people involved, but the people who died on that day, whether they'd want a similar tragedy to occur again, they would say no. Oh, Jesus. That's terrifying. They would say no. And that makes sense. That's natural. Of course they would say no. And, I mean, so, rather than paying respect by saying, we're going to kill such and such people, you have to say, I'm just not going to let my country become implicated in something like this again. Of course, there is the issue of standing up for your rights. If there is a problem, you have to be able to stand up for that and say, I'm going to fight for this ideal. But you can't let it go to a degree where it's going to cause, or going to have terrible repercussions, and you have to, with the benefit of the knowledge of history, you have to be able to look back and say, this is what happened, and this is what I don't want to happen again. It's much easier said than done, to be entirely honest. And it's almost unfair of me to talk about it like this, because I'm saying it in such simple and broad terms, and I guess it's not applicable in that degree. It's much easier to say, keep an eye out for what's going on, be involved, write your congressman, but that's much harder than it would seem to be, and there's always the issue of taking the time out of your day and doing that. And that's understandable. Some people don't have the time in their day to do that. But if you do, as, I guess, a citizen, it's pretty much your responsibility to deal with something like this so that it doesn't happen again. That, in my opinion, is respect. And when somebody doesn't do that, and they don't understand the gravity of the situation that they're in, the gravity of an event, and they simply play it off as one country hating the other for superficial reasons, that causes more problems. You're not going to grow as a country or as a person if you simply accept the basic answer of, they hate us because of our freedom, or because we are great, and they are not, because we are rich and have higher per capita income. That's a simple solution, but a kind of, I guess, misinformed one, to say the least. And I guess that was pretty terribly phrased, but basically what I'm trying to say is, if you want to pay your respects, there are much better ways to pay your respects than to say, America, yeah, and simply celebrating, or not celebrating, but mourning. I'm fairly certain that if the people were still alive today, and it's a shame that they're not, my condolences go out to everyone, to all the families, they would not want the country to be ignorant of what happened. They would want the people to basically know and act upon what happened. To make sure something like this didn't happen again. Like I said, easier said than done, but it's basically just something I had to say because I was seeing a lot of it, a lot of people writing stuff like, they hate us for our freedom, they hate us because we're awesome. Very superficial reasons, not entirely true. This lighting looks fantastic. I can't wait to explore all of this. But so that was basically my tirade in that sense, in that direction, I guess. And this is the next segment's about to get a tiny bit political. So if you've raised concerns about that before, you might want to be a bit more cautious right now. But it's not going to be too bad, I hope. I'd like to promise that, well, I can't promise, but I'd like to say that I'm not going to be excessively political right now. I keep hearing stuff. Basically, my friend and I were sitting after cross-country waiting for our parents, and my friend, like, we were talking about colleges. He's like, what do you want to do in the future? And I said, yeah, you know, maybe political sciences, art, journalism, that sort of thing, English, history. And he said, political sciences? I don't know, I don't like political sciences. Politicians, they're kind of shady characters. I said, well, basically the idea of politics interests me, how the system works itself. And we got into this discussion about whether or not, like, what constituted a good politician, sort of like Machiavelli's writings and Bismarck's Realpolitik versus Moralpolitik, where basically, is a good leader the leader that says, basically, I will do whatever is necessary to ensure the success of my country, regardless of the moral consequences, or if a politician should say, I will be as moral as possible and be as kind and right morally as a leader. And we were talking more on this case of like Clinton's scandal, the Anthony Weiner scandal, things in that direction. And my friend was like, well, I've sort of lost respect for those politicians because of what they've done. They don't have the moral strength to be leaders of our country. And he brought up the question, like, do you want the leaders of your country to be, I guess, morally inept? And it's interesting to me how morals are set up in this country. And it's actually kind of funny, I'm wearing a shirt that says Canada on it. I quite like Canada myself, but the way people seem to respond to morals in this country is that morality is very much based around the household and based very little upon what's done in office. And that's a shame. Ooh, the arrow is stuck in. And I so want to go down and get those, but is there any way to block this off? There is. Sorry about this, I just interrupted my own tirade. Alright, perfect. That's pretty good. And so, basically... Oh, Jesus! Come up here, spider. Oh, he can't. Can't do that. Good for him. Alright, basically, the way I see it, a politician, like, take Anthony Weiner, for example, or actually, let's not even get into that. Let's go by the hypotheticals, and geez, I've just made a horrible mistake with concerns to my wheat. And concerns with my wheat, I guess. There. Oh, no! Basically, take this politician who is an amazing politician, he did amazing things for his country, and then after he dies, and they've eulogized him, and they've written great, amazing things about him, and he's like the greatest hero the country has ever had, and they look back and they find out he had some affairs. How much does that bring this leader down in your eyes? For me, to be entirely honest, not much. I think affairs are, to be entirely honest, disgusting. I don't condone that in any way. I think that's kind of a mess. Not something to look forward, or people who do that are not people who you should look up to. But in the case of politics, I feel like it's much more morally reprehensible if you make a mistake that affects the future of your country more so than what you're doing in your spare time. So, say the same exact leader, except instead of finding out that he was having an affair when he was younger, you find out that he was selling arms to undeveloped to countries that... Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh my God. Son of a bitch. Alright, I'm going to finish my tirade. Basically, tell me this. Do you want me to go back down and continue with this world, or do you want me to end 404 and focus on 1.8 in its entirety? That was kind of a mess. Geez, I don't know what to say. Oh, that was pretty bad. So basically, I'm going to respawn and go back down, and it's, luckily for me, it's daytime. I'm going to head back down, go back down and get my stuff, go back to the safety of my house, make sure I still have all that stuff. But you guys tell me what you want me to do with the series. So basically, same leader, but this time, instead of him having affairs, you find out that he has, oh jeez, I'm being shot all over the place. I think this is the right way. No, this is not the right way. Oh, jeez. Oh, there he is. Okay, that was not good. At least I know the way now. So same leader, except instead of having affairs, he was selling arms to a militant group that later in your future totally fucked with your country. I find that a whole lot worse. And just than a leader who's... Oh, Jesus! What is that creeper doing just standing around there? What a dummy. Ah, I got my stuff. Oh, this is not cool. Not cool at all. Alright, I've interrupted myself so many times, but rightfully so, because I just died, and basically the 404 challenge should technically be over. But let me just finish my rant. Give me that piece, will you? Fucking creepers. How do I hear the lightning from here? Alright, basically, I would think that the second leader would be the worst. And I think that's natural, but for some reason the country doesn't seem to think that way with me. And that just surprises me. That kind of bothers me. I'd much rather have a politician like Anthony Weiner than the second politician, who I'm not going to name, but I do have a specific politician in mind. Maybe you can connect the dots and figure out who it is. So basically, that's kind of the end of my tirade. Very disjointed, very eventful episode for all the random walking around my base I did. Tell me if you want me to continue. I mean, I quite like this base, I quite like this series, there's tons left to explore, and I kind of don't want to follow the rules of 404 anymore. It's a new update, a new thing to do, and it's a nice opportunity for me to talk about things that I like to do inside Minecraft, which you guys appear to like a lot more than my Humble Indie Bundle playthroughs where I talk about similar things. So, just tell me what you think. So, thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.